Hello, welcome to the Leap to Success podcast, where we highlight incredible women entrepreneurs who are taking bold leaps in business and life. I'm your host, Mary Gawne, and I believe that success is built through connection, contribution, and celebration. In each episode, we bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and actionable strategies to help you grow and thrive as a solopreneur. Let's dive into today's conversation. I am so excited to introduce you, our podcast listeners, to LEAP community member Kimberly Gawne. Welcome to the show, Kimberly.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yes. I love Kimberly's business. I just think it's so powerful and it's so needed, and she provides such gifts to parents and to students out there across the world. So, Kimberly, tell our listeners a little bit about your story and what makes you so awesome.
For sure. Well, I mean, I don't like to toot my own horn, so I don't know that I will talk about
This is the place to do it.
Awesome. But thank you for
the
invitation. Sure, of course. So Star Students was born out of complete accident, to be honest with you. I graduated Teachers College in May of 2020. I think it was April of 2020, whenever that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure everybody remembers what 2020 was like. I very vividly remember the moment that I found out that I was not going to be a teacher in a public school like I thought. And that was actually, it was Friday, March 13th, 20, which was the Friday before March break. I was driving to school to go teach my kids, and I was listening to the radio, and I remember, I don't remember who it was, but I remember the station. It was Country 106.7. I'm from Canada, so in my world, 106.7. And the radio host actually interrupted the playing of the radio and whatnot to talk about this new thing that was happening, and we don't know what's going on, and we're not sure, and this is a worldwide epidemic, so to speak, is what they called it at that point. And I remember kind of laughing and brushing it off, like, oh, whatever, it's fine, it's just the radio talking, right?
Yeah.
School, and that was not the case. The principal and the administration in that school had decided that we were going to take 2 weeks, and we are going to take 2 weeks of a break. So, I mean, we were coming up on March break anyways, right? So they said, okay, we're going to have March break, and then we're going to have an additional week afterwards. So that was what I told my kids. I was like, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. We're just, at this point, nobody really knows what's going on. We're just playing it safe.
Yeah.
And no one in fact came back to school after 2 weeks.
Right.
And so that's where I'm going with this, is that, I was kind of thrust into this role that I'd been preparing for, or thrust out of rather, this role that I'd been preparing for 6 years, because I went to school for 6 years to be a teacher. And all of a sudden that wasn't really an option anymore for me. And I kind of moped around for a couple months, and I went, what am I going to do with myself? I've now, I've done all of this work. I've spent all of this money, because it does cost money to go to university, to go to Teachers College, and do all of that. And what am I going to do with myself? I'm not sure. And I kind of bounced around. I did have jobs at the time. I had multiple jobs that I was working to put myself through Teachers College. And so I just continued on working and trying to figure out what I was doing with myself.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, said to me, he's like, well, why don't you start your own business? He's always business minded. So he suggested that to me. And here we are, like as
Nice.
Simply put as I can put it, here we are.
Yes.
4 and a bit years later. It has been a journey, but it's been one I wouldn't trade for anything.
Nice.
And I know teachers now who are in the public and the private system, who I'm still in contact with, who say, man, I wish I'd had your foresight in 2020. And I said, well, nothing's stopping you from doing it now.
Right.
But yeah, that's my story. That's how I got started. It was very much accidental, but I'm very glad it happened. It was one of the best accidents that I've happened into, for sure.
Yes. I love that. How, at the time, everybody, it was not a good thing, right? The pandemic, and for many people, right, lost their jobs and lost loved ones and those kind of things. But it did cause so many people to shift what they were doing in their lives and how they were doing that in their lives, right? I myself, it shifted my business. I used to only meet with people in person, and now I meet with people on Zoom all across the country and in Canada, right? So I can serve a lot bigger audience by, being on Zoom rather than just meeting with people one-on-one. So I love that you took that opportunity, right? And I as well, when I was, not because of a pandemic, just because I knew it was time to leave my last job, right? Had somebody say, well, why don't you start a business? And just somebody asking that can kind of give us that permission we need to take that leap, right? It's like, oh, what would that look like? What would I do? How exactly would I model this, right? So I love that you took those leaps, right? And I want people to know, what is Star Students? Tell everybody kind of about the business that you did build.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So to back up, I guess, or go back to the story that I was telling you, I very quickly, I started out with tutoring because when you are a teacher and you have gone through all of this schooling, what else do you do, right? Other than tutoring.
Right.
At that point, that was all that was kind of in my my perspective and all that I'd really been exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in January of 2021 when I officially started. So we're talking about, it took me about 6 months to kind of figure out what I was doing, set up social media. There's always endless learning that goes into running a
Right.
business.
Yes.
But that's what I started with, as I'm sure you would well know, right? But that's what I started with. And very quickly, so that was in January of 2021. And by that summer of 2021, I had parents coming to me and asking me for full-on homeschooling services. Now I'm talking about actual teaching, right?
Yeah.
Said, hey, essentially what they were saying was, hey, we want you to teach our kids. Here's a teacher that's stepped outside of the system, that knows how the system works, is willing to teach to the system's academic standards, we'll say, but has stepped out of the system for what I'll call moral and ethical reasons. And she's able to do all the teaching. Let's just hire her as a teacher, was essentially what people
Right.
were coming to me and proposing, right?
Yeah.
And I very quickly realized that as much as I love teaching, and as much as I love being able to ignite that spark in any child, I can't teach them all.
Yeah.
I also don't know how to teach them all, right? I can't teach every single subject. I can't teach every single grade level either.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not prepared at that point in the summer of 2021 to take on full homeschooling services by myself.
Yeah.
So again, back to my business manager here, my husband, he said to me, well, you need to hire people. And I went, hire people? I went, what?
Yeah.
And it was in that moment that it was proposed to me that I had to shift my perspective. And I would say that was one of the biggest learning curves that I had in my business, was I can't do this all by myself.
Yes. Yes.
Having that realization of I can't do this all by myself, not even just, it doesn't matter how willing I was. I don't have the credentials. I don't have the time. I can't teach more than 24 hours in a day. I can't teach more than 18 hours in a day.
Right.
I can't do this by myself. I had some valid concerns about hiring people and hiring teachers. One of which was I want to make sure everyone's on board, right? Our motto is progress without politics. You have to make, I obviously have to make sure that teachers are willing to adhere to that motto if they're going to work with Star Students.
Right.
My husband at that point was like, okay, well, I hear you. Let's set up a system so that you can make sure that you have, good teachers, that you don't have high turnover, and that you have quality people, so that you're not wasting your time trying to find good teachers and damaging your business reputation.
Right.
So that was a pretty steep learning curve.
Yes. Yes.
Over the course of the fall of 2021 and into the winter of 2022, so that when those same parents plus more came back to me in the summer of 2022, which was the following year, and said, hey, nudge, nudge, remember us? I went, yes, I do. Thank you so much for following up. Here's what we have on offer. Here's our offers that we currently have going. Would this that you're interested in. And these parents said yes. So I said, fantastic, let's roll with it.
Nice.
So what that offer is essentially, now this is our highest level of investment, I would say. So we completely 100% from scratch build the curriculum with the
Nice.
parents' involvement, with the child's involvement, and then with, of course, the professional expertise of myself as well as my
Mhm.
teachers. So conforming to the academic standards of whatever state or whatever province a family is in, as well as
Mhm.
making sure that things like the resources that are used, the curriculum that is used, making sure that those things are in line with the family's values is something that is very important. Making sure that those things are also in line with the child's interests is
Yeah.
very important. We pride ourselves here at Star Students on inquiry-based learning. So something, I mean, you're not getting away from math. You have to learn math because you have to be able to
Right.
do operations, understanding things like taxes and interest and all that stuff. But
Right.
whereas they teach you that stuff in public school, they won't teach you taxes and interest and all of the real world financial sense. We will
Mhm.
do that here, and we will do it in a
Nice.
way that conforms to the child's interests. I shouldn't say conforms, a way that adheres to the child's
Nice.
interest
Nice.
with things that they're interested in, right?
Yeah.
So for example, we have a couple students who are themselves, surprise, surprise, interested in starting their own businesses.
Mhm.
Okay, what does that realistically look like? Well, within that, you have all of the things with financial literacy. You have
Right.
taxes, you have bookkeeping, you have accounts, all of that stuff, right? And so we're able to teach because we are so individualized and personalized. We're able to teach to that child's interest and to that child's learning level, right? Rather
Nice.
than taking the child and molding them to the curriculum, we're going to take the
Yeah.
curriculum and we're going to mold it to the child and do it the other way around.
Nice. I love that. And as I mentioned, I just love your company and what you're able to do, because I think education and our education as a young child sets us up for success, whatever level of success we achieve later on in life. The ability to learn, right? And the ability to be interested in learning, rather than just I have to memorize a set of dates or whatever it is, right? But to be able to be curious about the world around us and learn things just sets us up for so much more success if we have that mindset and that attitude. So I wanted to go back and just touch base on a few things that you mentioned. Again, our own mindset and curiosity to learn, right? As business owners, you mentioned that was a really big mindset shift for you when you realized, oh, I'm going to need to bring other people into my business, right? I had that happen at the same time in my first business. I was just stuck and I couldn't figure out, I knew I needed other people, but I couldn't figure it out on my own. I needed that outside perspective to say, hey, let's figure out what it looks like to bring other people in your business. Because when you start a business, it's your child, right? You kind of created it. Everything
Baby.
happens because the way that you want to do things, right? And so when we realize I have to bring in another person, and what if they don't do things exactly the way I do them? Or, can I trust that this person's going to stick around or not steal my ideas or whatever it is, right? It's a big vulnerability and awareness in ourselves. And then I think it can be such a positive thing too, right? Because you're like, okay, I don't have this skill, but this person has a skill, and now we can partner, collaborate together, and now we have an even stronger base, right? So, what were some of the mindset things that you had to adjust to bring in your first hire?
I would say biggest one, the biggest one is or was that I had to get used to the idea of not doing it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of making sure that I was able to hire like the right people, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And that to me was very important because I wanted to make sure that I chose, I mean, qualified teachers, of course, but also like personality wise, values
Mm-hmm.
wise, work ethic wise, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to say to my current teachers, to my current staff is, like, oh, thank you so much for what you do as the business owner. And I say, hey, there's no I in team. There isn't our students either.
Yeah.
People often ask me, they're like, oh, well, how do you have so many students, and how have you built what you've built in 4.5, 5 years? Realistically, I mean, it happened on accident, but it kept going on purpose. And a lot of that was because I chose to listen to the advice that I was given from people who have experience than I do, right? Whether they're people in networking calls, whether they're business coaches, whether they're actually people who just want to see me succeed, whatever it happens to be, right? And I mean, you take all the advice with a grain of salt, and ultimately the final decision is mine as to what happens, right? But being open to constructive criticism, I think, was one of the biggest things that I had to get used to. And then in terms of hiring, like in terms of, to answer your question, with my first hire, it was this idea of making sure that I was clear about who I wanted working with STAR students. Because when you bring on other people, that I am of the opinion that when you have a large team, things get diluted, and it's easier for things to get diluted. So building a small, strong core team first was really important to me.
Nice.
And that has been successful so far.
Yeah, good.
Good. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to take the time. Some businesses move fast and let's just hire a bunch of people, and then they have to go back and put the culture in, if you will, right? What are our standards and those kind of things, right? And then it's harder to build that culture when you've hired for a job, right? But it's easier if you hire for the culture that you want, and then you can train people on the job, or they have, in your case, they have certain skills for the job, right? So you don't have to train them so much. But if you hire for the culture first, that can make all the difference in your team, and making sure that everybody is going to, agree with how we're going to service the clients, and how we're going to deliver our services, and how we're going to communicate with each other and with our clients and in the world, right? So I think that's important to do. So congratulations on doing that, doing it that way. It just saves you a lot of headache, right?
Yes. And that's one thing that I'm very grateful for, that I say all the time. Like, I have amazing teachers that are an amazing bunch, an amazing group of people, just in general. Like, they're amazing teachers, but they're just amazing people as well.
Nice. That makes every day a joy when you get to work with people who are really good at what they do, and they enjoy the work that they get to do, right? 100%. It just makes it so much easier for them. Yes, it makes our life easier. Yes, exactly. So entrepreneurship can really be this kind of crazy wild ride, right? You grow in spurts, or you might grow steadily. You have seasons in your business, right? You mentioned before we started the call that you just wrapped up your school year for those students that you do that kind of work with. So what kind of daily habits and practices keep you grounded, keep you moving your business forward? Do you have some daily things that you do, or weekly things that you do to keep focused on your business growth?
Yes, I do. That is one thing that honestly has made one of the biggest differences in business growth, is maintaining, I won't say daily, I mean, maintaining daily habits is obviously optimal and ideal, right? Sometimes, because life happens, it doesn't always happen every day, right?
Yes.
So yes, I have daily habits that are often consistency habits, right? Sometimes I won't always get to do all the things every day, but understanding that I'm human, I have also other things to look after. And so if things happen, it's okay. It's important to just get back up and make sure that it gets done tomorrow, right? Just as much of a daily habit as is, for example, one of my daily habits at the end of each day, as part of my shutdown for the day or for the evening, I will take a Post-it note, and I will make sure that I write down the only three important things that need to get done the next day, right? And that
Nice.
really helps me prioritize what needs to get done. B, it gives me a sense of accomplishment when I see at the end of the following day, hey, I did these three things, perfect, right?
Yeah.
And C, it helps keep the ball rolling and helps keep me moving forward in terms of what is actually important, right?
Nice.
Limiting it to three things, I really had a problem with that at first.
Yeah.
But putting just three things, it forces you to prioritize. It forces
Yes.
you to say, hey, this is important and this has to get done versus can this wait until tomorrow's list?
Right. Yes. I
And
love
I am
that.
not a person, I am not a person who likes to leave things to the last minute. So I'm not saying, write down the things you have to get done tomorrow because they're due tomorrow.
Right.
The things that need to get done tomorrow that are due perhaps that need to be done in the next 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Or 4 days. So that I'm always a couple days ahead of schedule, right? And that
Nice.
way also makes it easier with what I was chatting about before for me to forgive myself. I'm can be very hard on myself a lot of the time. And for me to forgive myself if, hey, something didn't get checked off the list today, but I didn't get it done today. Things happened. I didn't have the time,
Right.
right? A
Right.
business owner, we all know things pop up, emergencies pop up. You have
Mhm.
families you have to cater to and look after and all the rest of it, right?
Yes.
So learning to forgive myself, but also allow myself that flexibility has not only helped my business move forward, but has also helped me relieve a lot of mental stress in terms
Nice.
of the constant hamster wheel of I need to get everything done right now. It's what's the important things to get done tomorrow? What do I need to do?
Yes. I love that. Thanks for sharing that tip,
Of course.
Kimberly, because it is, our lists are never ending, right? There's so many things we can do, should be doing, want to do in our business every day that we do have to prioritize. And when I have conversations with my clients, that's one of the things I help them do, is because there's so many things on all of their lists, they don't know where to focus next, right? And so having the skill to say, what is the top three important things for me to work on tomorrow, really is such a great skill to develop and a habit to develop. And like you said, it helps you prioritize your time, because you might have 20 things on your list, but what are the top three things that are going to move me forward the most, or have an impending deadline, or those kind of things, right? So I need to spend some time working on those tomorrow. I love that, and it's so important for all of us to try and get into that habit. I sometimes start my day with the three things I have to get done on a sticky note, so I like putting it at the end of the day for tomorrow. It's a great way to, again, close down your business mind and move into your family time or whatever you need to do, so that you don't wake up at 2 a.m. thinking, oh, gotta get that done tomorrow, right? If you've captured it on a sticky note at the end of the day, that's a great way to kind of
Yeah.
pull it out of your brain for the night so you can focus on your other priorities.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I find too, these days, I am very forgetful.
Yes.
And so once I move from business mode to family mode, it's difficult for me to, especially early in the morning, it's
Yeah.
difficult for me to just jump right into business now. Um, and so I find that having those three things, it just makes my mornings flow so much easier because, hey, I know I already got it looked after like yesterday. It's on
Yeah.
my desk. I'll get it done when I get a chance, when I have that time frame, right? Early
Hmm.
in the mornings is not is no longer optimal timing for me
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get stuff done, right? It just depends on what's best for everybody, for people's different schedules and their different lifestyles, right? Different things
Right.
work. I tried it in the morning, it didn't work for me. So I was like,
Right.
let's move things around and adjust, right? And it works
Yes.
well in the evening for me now.
I love it. I love it. And I can see the benefit of doing it at the end of the day, saying, okay, what did I get done today? What do I need to work on tomorrow? And let me shut that part of my brain off for a moment and go be with my family or whatever the next thing is, right? So I love that. Thanks for sharing that daily habit. We have lots of listeners out there who might be on the edge of taking a leap in their life, and you've taken some other leaps in your personal life, right? Whether you want to share those or not, but you've had some big shifts in your personal life in the last few years while you're growing this business too, right? So you've had lots of leaps of faith, of living in a new place, and you have a new baby and all kinds of things going on. So what kind of advice would you give somebody who's contemplating taking a big leap, either in their life or in their business?
one of the things, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have learned, not just mentally learned to be okay with, but like in my heart and soul, be okay with, has been, I would rather say, oh, well, at the end of my life, looking back, I would rather say, oh, well, than what if.
Nice. Oh, I
That
love
has
that.
been
That just gave me goosebumps.
a huge
I love
shift
it.
in my perspective. And like, it gives me goosebumps every time I say it, because I used to say that all the time, but I just felt it up here in my head, right? I didn't actually feel it. When you choose to take a risk, when you choose to take a leap, whether it's in business, whether it's in life, yeah, you mentioned I've taken quite a few leaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my personal life, lately, there's been quite a few adjustments. I'd rather say, oh, well, than what if, because
Yes.
I am a person who would rather take the risk and say, oh, okay, it didn't work out. At least I tried and I
Hmm.
gave it my 110%, because I don't do things 50%. I do
Right,
them
right. Yeah.
110 or not at all, right? And
Yes.
that's been really helpful for me, like to be able to actually internalize that of, I'm going to do this because you're only here for what, 80 years, 90
Right.
years, if
Hmm.
you're lucky, right? If you're healthy, if you're fit, if you're
Right,
here for
right.
90,
Yeah.
maybe 100, right? You want to make it count for something, even if it's just for yourself. Like, everybody has different motivations, whether it's family, or friends, or even just for yourself.
Yeah.
You want your time count. Wouldn't you rather look back and say, I lived a full experience, even if things didn't work out the way that I exactly thought they were?
Right.
If you told me, I will just say this, if you told me that I would be living the life I am now, even just 5 years ago, I would
Yeah.
have looked
On
at you
March
like,
12th, when everything
insane.
was normal, right? On March
Yeah,
12th before the
looked at
world
you
fell
like
apart.
you were insane. I would have been like,
Yeah.
what? That is not, like, exactly, like in business, in life, in everything.
Yeah.
My life now today looks absolutely nothing like I pictured it five
Yeah.
years ago. And you know what? That's a good thing.
Yes, it
That's a
is.
good thing.
Yeah. I have areas of my life where they're very consistent, right? I've been married to my husband for 32 years. We've been together 36 years, right?
Congratulations.
So
That
very
is an accomplishment.
consistent, right? And
That's
we've
an
lived in the
accomplishment.
same
That's
house for
good.
28 years or whatever, right? So those things are very consistent. But I do have to keep expanding and learning and trying new things and meeting new people and, doing new things with my business because I love the stability of my life, but also when I look back, because this Business Success Magnified will turn 10 this fall, and I look back at everything I've learned in the last 10 years and the people I've met and the risks I've taken that some worked and some didn't work. And, I love that I get to do this and I have the freedom and the creativity to be able to express that through my business and my work and my friendships, right? So I'm going to start borrowing that. I'd rather say, oh, well, than what if. That is such a powerful statement. I love
You're
that,
welcome.
Kimberly. Thank you.
I
Thank
should
you, thank you,
patent it
thank you.
now.
Yes, yes, you should copyright that, trademark it, right? Yes.
Yeah, trademark it.
So again, if you are a listener out there and you're considering taking a leap, whether it's in your personal life or your business, and it doesn't even have to be a big leap, it can be just the next leap forward, right? What's the next
Yeah.
thing for you to tackle in your business or your personal life? Just consider this question that now Kimberly's going to trademark. I'd rather say, oh, well, than what if, right? So,
Your audience can borrow it. It's okay. I'm not going to be
yes.
offended.
Okay, we can use it royalty free for now. So grab it while you
Yeah,
can.
it's free for now.
Yes. All right. Well, we're about out of time, but I want to make sure our listeners know how to find you. Again, whatever platform you're listening on or watching us on, we'll have all of Kimberly's information in the show notes so you can find out how to contact her. But in case they're listening while they're walking their dog and they want to hear your company name again, what's the best place for them to find you online?
For sure, yeah. Well, company is Star Students. You can Google us, you can type us into whatever alternative search engine you want to
Yeah.
use. I myself am a Brave user, so not a sponsored ad, I'm just saying. Yeah, www.starstudents.co. That's our website. We have all the information on there. I have my email on there, phone number, everything. All contacts are up and running on online. So
Okay.
we're considering
Wonderful.
that we're a virtual business. We're very active online. All good.
Yes. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay. Well, that is a wrap on today's episode of Leap to Success podcast. I hope that you found inspiration, motivation, and a few golden nuggets, like I have several golden nuggets I've written down, to take with you on your journey. If you loved this conversation, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening so that you never miss an episode. If today's guest, Kimberly, resonated with you, please show her some love by sharing this episode with your community. If you know of a parent who's struggling with their children in school or just needs some extra help, please reach out to Kimberly and share this episode with them, and then share her contact information with them. You can find all of Kimberly's information again in the show notes of whatever platform you're listening or watching. If you want to dive deeper into the LEAP community, you can join us, where you'll find even more resources, connections, and opportunities to show up and grow. You can visit successmagnified.com/leap for ladies to learn more about our community. Until next time, keep taking bold leaps, contributing your gifts, and celebrating your successes. Thanks so much, Kimberly. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you, Mary.